Welcome to the Pretty Deadly Podcast. My name is Susie Colick. I'm the founder of Pretty Deadly Self-Defense, a self-defense program I developed based on my experience as a violent crime survivor and my 25 years training in the Japanese art of ninjutsu. Welcome back to the Pretty Deadly Podcast. If you listen to the last episode, you'll know that we are in the kitchen cleaning with you right now, and we're showing you how to use the movements that you use cleaning your house as self-defense movements, or as a way to train self-defense movements. Last episode, we were washing dishes. We washed all our fine china, we dried it, we shook water from our hands, we put dishes in the dishwasher, and we put all our dishes away. I don't know about you, but when I'm done doing all the dishes, the next thing that I do is wipe down the counters and the stove. If you saw The Karate Kid, whether it was in the 80s when it first came out or in all the reboots and the Cobra Kai stuff, you'll know about wax on, wax off. If you've never seen the movie, this is what that means. The Karate Kid, played by Ralph Macchio, is getting beaten up by a bunch of bullies at his new school. He wants to learn to defend himself. He meets Mr. Miyagi, this mysterious Japanese guy who for some reason owns a whole lot of collectible antique cars. And Mr. Miyagi is reluctant to take him on as a student at first, but finally does. And the first thing he has Ralph Macchio do is wax the cars. And he tells him, wax on, wax off. He continues having him clean stuff, paint stuff, do all these repairs around his house and garden. Ralph Macchio is getting frustrated and angry. When am I going to learn martial arts? Only to realize that he's been learning martial arts all along. Wax on and wax off are blocks and strikes. So we're doing the same thing. It's what we've been doing with Pretty Deadly for the past 10 years. Using movements that you do every day. So you already know how to do them. You're already really good at them and you practice them all the time. We tweak them to make them a little bit stronger and then we apply them to self-defense situations. So again, just as a recap, wax on, wax off is what we're going to be doing with our counters and our stove. I do not wax my counters. I'm assuming you don't either because that would be stupid. All of your food would slide right off of it. But we do wipe them down, right? And when we wipe things down, we tend to wipe in circles. Again, whether we're wiping away from the center of our body or wiping towards the center of our body. These are fantastic blocks. So when we're wiping away from the center of our body, this is a block when somebody's coming in with a strike or a grab. We can block them and guide them away. When we're wiping towards the center of our body, we don't want to block someone into us, but we can guide them kind of past our center. Right? So we're taking a movement and guiding them along in the movement that they're doing it in. We can also wipe down. So obviously you're not going to do this on your counter, but when I'm wiping towards my body or towards the center of my body, meaning my hand is coming in a circle and ending closer to my belly button as opposed to my hand going in a circle and ending away from my belly button. If I'm wiping towards my body, I can also bring that movement slightly down. That way I can guide the hand that's trying to grab me towards the ground. There's a saying in martial arts base that goes something like, we're just helping people get to the ground a little bit faster. And that's what you're doing too. Right? So wax on, wax off. If we want to take that from a horizontal move and move that into a vertical position, almost like you would be cleaning your windows, which we'll talk about more next week, these again are also fantastic blocks and strikes, but we'll get into that when we get to the windows part of this podcast series. Once we have all of our counters and stove wiped down, and I'm not talking about deep cleaning your stove or your oven right now because I don't do those things. We're putting the rest of the stuff back in the fridge. This is actually one of my favorite things to do whenever I am closing my fridge is I actually kick it from the side. And again, be gentle with your appliances. You don't need to kill them because it's just an appliance. It's not trying to hurt you, but it's a really good time to practice a side kick. So when I'm closing my fridge from the side, I'm not standing facing the refrigerator door, facing the inside of the refrigerator. I'm actually standing perpendicular to the fridge. So that means if the door was closed, my right shoulder would be facing the closed door of the fridge. right? I would be in profile to my refrigerator. But the door isn't completely closed. I've pushed it almost closed, and now I want to get it closed the rest of the way. And we're going to say that my right shoulder is facing the fridge door. I'm going to lift my right knee, and I'm going to swing my ankle out towards the door and then extend the leg. This is a really powerful kick. So again, please be careful with your appliance, and I take no responsibility or liability for breaking your appliances. If you're feeling wobbly on your right knee, just bend your left leg a little bit. That's your support leg to get more stability. Lift the right knee. It doesn't have to be that high. Swing your foot towards the refrigerator door until it makes contact from the knee, and then extend the leg. You'll shut the door and you get to practice a side kick. In self-defense, we use this kick against ankles. We can also use it towards the back of calves or towards the sides of calves. It can be really, really painful because you're kicking with the edge of your foot. Okay, so we've run the dishwasher, we've washed all the dishes, we've put the dishes away, we've wiped everything down, and now we have a kind of wet dish towel in our hand. This is also a really great self-defense tool. And I don't mean by twisting it all up and snapping at someone, although that is also very painful, but in a real life self-defense situation, that's going to take a lot of time. What you can do with a towel is use it to practice a face strike. So if you take that towel and you throw it kind of angrily on the floor, like you've had enough of cleaning your kitchen, this movement of your hand, pay attention to it. You are thrusting your arm down, and your fingers tend to end in a tense position, right? You've got energy all the way through your fingertips at the end of that throw. When we want to throw a wet dish towel down on the floor with force, we again are using our entire body all the way to our fingertips. Try it a couple of times so you get used to the movement. After you've picked that up off the floor a few times or thrown it onto the floor a few times, now try throwing it in the sink so you've got a shorter distance to jet that wet dish towel into. And I'm sorry if that means now you're going to have more cleanup to do. But again, this is a really great way to practice a basic self-defense move. Once you've tried it in the sink a few times, if you're comfortable trying it against the back of the sink, like one of the walls of the sink, instead of going down, now you're kind of going out. Right? Again, try it a few times. And then what we're going to do is transfer that same movement without the dish towel to somebody's face. So we've already practiced this movement of striking towards the face when we were putting the dishes away. And we've practiced the movement of continuing that upward strike by bending our wrist and fingers forward to sending someone to the ground. This time, we're going to take the same movement of striking to the face or putting the dishes away, and instead of actually striking with the palm of our hand, we're going to throw a dish towel in their face. That means you would actually make contact with somebody's face. And what it looks like is your pinky and your thumb would be underneath cheekbones. Your middle finger would basically be at the person's third eye, and your index finger and your your ring finger, I forgot what this one was called, would go into somebody's eyes, right? That doesn't mean gouging their eyes out. It just means it's in where the eyes are. They would close their eyes. Don't worry. Everybody has a self-defense system. So you don't have to worry about like touching anything wet and squishy unless you're still holding the dish towel. So you're striking to the face with the same movement that you're using to really throw that dish towel to the floor, right? To jet the dish towel to the floor. Now you're doing it to someone's face. If you have a roommate or a sibling or a partner that you want to try that on just to see the reaction, try not to make contact if you're going to go fast because you will hurt the person that you love. But if you want to practice the movement very, very slowly, go ahead and do that and make light contact on their face just so your fingers know what that feels like. Please don't hurt each other. Please train safely. The last thing I do when I'm done putting everything away and the counters are wiped down and the dishes are all done and there's nothing left to do other than turn off the light is I sweep. You may mop. I personally really hate mopping, so I do that really rarely, but I do sweep. Right? That's what we do in between mops. So when we sweep, that motion of sweeping is a really, really good takedown. I want you to take your broom, if you're holding it right now, and look at the way that you're actually holding it. So we usually hold the handle that's closest to our face. We hold that with our palm up, and we hold the part of the handle that's closer to the bristles of the broom with our palm down. We tend to move in a sweeping motion, meaning both arms are moving at the same time. time. What I want you to do is take your hand with the palm up closer to your face and hold that steady. Take your hand that's closer to the bristles of the broom and only move that hand going forward. This is probably not going to get your floors clean, but it is a really great way to practice a takedown on the elbow. So the way that we use this in self-defense is, again, if somebody reaches across my body and grabs my arm, I can step on the outside of their arm, right? I can place my hand on the back of their extended elbow. I want to hold on to, or I want to keep the hand that's being grabbed completely steady, but the hand that's on the back of their elbow, I want to push forward. So almost like I'm sweeping. That's going to bend them over, and I can walk them forward so their face grinds into the ground. Again, sweeping is a really great way to practice this idea of one hand holds still and the other hand pushes, right? And you can try it in both hands. Again, this is going to take you forever to clean your floors this way, and it might not even be very effective cleaning your floors, but the broom is a really effective tool to use. We can also take the broom or take a mop, especially if you have the kind where the handle screws out of the brush or the mop head, and then you just have a big long stick, right? So this big long stick is a fantastic weapon. Even if it's not the kind that detaches, you can still use it as a weapon. And of course, knowing that the bristles of the broom or the mop head are going to be part of that weapon, especially with a mop head. If you're using a string mop, you want to be careful that you don't accidentally whack yourself in the face with flying wet strings. Using these things as a weapon is, again, we're using kind of a one hand steady, one hand pushes kind of motion. So you're not holding your broom like a club and then just whacking someone with the bristles of the broom. You're actually using it in a much more effective way using the leverage of the long stick. So to use the leverage of the long stick in this way, if you're holding a broom, pick it up and hold it parallel to the floor at waist level. You want to hold it lightly, don't grip it tightly. Slide one hand to the very end of the broom to the top of the bristles. This is the hand that's going to do the movement. Your other hand should stay exactly where it is, but you don't want to grip too tightly because the broom handle is going to have to slide through that hand. This hand is just guiding it and keeping it steady. So you're keeping one hand exactly where it is, lightly gripping the broom handle. The other hand has slid down to the top of the broom bristles. Now what I want you to do is move the hand with the broom bristles through the other hand, right? So you're pushing the entire broom handle through the other hand. Once you feel kind of secure in that movement, I want you to take a step forward with the same leg as the hand that stays steady. So for example, if I'm holding the broom right now, my right hand would slide down to the bristles, my left hand would stay steady. I want to take a step forward with my left leg at the same time that I'm pushing the broom through the other hand. The last thing I want to do with this is I want to twist my right hand that's close to the bristles so that my fingers are facing the sky as I push it through my left hand. This is going to feel very awkward the first few times you do it, but once you practice it a few times, you'll recognize that this is actually a really great way to strike with a long weapon. You're going to be striking with the tip of the broom handle. If you have a fridge or a stove that you no longer care about and you feel like whacking those, I don't know if I should really be telling people to do stuff like this, but use it, especially on the face of the fridge. Otherwise, you can practice carefully on sofa pillows. These strikes would go towards the knees, to the ribs, to the elbows, really mostly vulnerable areas. You don't need to worry about striking to the head. You can, it just means an angle. But while you're still learning how to use this as a weapon, just think about striking at around the same place that your weapon is, which would be hips, elbows, ribs, maybe knees. When you're ready to try the other side, you're just going to switch hands, right? So now your right hand will be steady. Your left hand will be the one that slides to the end of the broom handle, and it's going to push that broom handle all the way through the right hand. So this time you would be hitting something with the bristles of the broom if the bristles are still attached. And of course, if you're using a mop, it would be the mop head. Same thing. Just on the other side, you want to step forward with the right leg and twist your hand up as you push through so that you get a nice turn. Again, I will link some videos in our YouTube version of this podcast so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Try it at home, and again, be very careful of the space around you. Please do not try this on a live human being because it can hurt. Also, try not to be around glassware or light bulbs. I have broken a few of those trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. The weapons that we use in this way in ninjutsu are called roshakubo and hanbo. Both of them use a very similar movement to strike, and you're striking with the tip of the long weapon. In your case, it might be the bristles of the broom or the tip of the broom handle. All right, try not to get a wet mop in your face, and I hope it doesn't make too much of a mess. Enjoy it, practice it. Let me know what you think. You can access all Pretty Deadly episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Audible, and everywhere you get your favorite pods. Our theme music is the track Icarus Wish by the